Hey everyone, Caddy Tulama here. Just going to do a little review for the new anime, the new Netflix anime Record of Ragnarok. I watched all of season one last night, and to be honest, I wasn't. I haven't read the manga. I know they are several chapters ahead. They're like on chapter 48 or something like that, and um, didn't even know anything about it. I saw it pop up on my recommended list, and kind of took a little, like read about it and everything like that, and it seemed very uh, down my alley of the things I'm interested in. Outside of just the anime and things like that, I'm a big history fan and a big mythology fan and stuff like that. And so it checked a lot of boxes for me. I'm not a big Netflix anime guy. I feel like they have been somewhat disappointing until recently with their animes. So I don't really go out of my way to watch too many of their animes because they tend to use a lot of computer animation, which I know is cheaper to make than using traditional like artists and things like that. And so, but it just looks so janky that like I as a fan of anime growing up watching so many different hand drawn animes, it's hard to transition to this new era where there are full anime series being made all on computer, and it just doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like the anime we grew up watching and things like that. And so I tend to kind of stay away from Netflix animes, but the preview looked really good, and it checked so many different boxes for me that I decided to start watching it, and ended up powering through the entire first season in one night. And uh, I just have to say that it there are a few things that took me by surprise with it. Watching the first episode, I thought, okay, well, it's starting off really well, but I expected it to kind of slow build into this journey to find, this long stretch journey. But it jumped right into the very first fight. Spoiler alerts if you haven't seen the anime, or you haven't seen or even read the manga. There obviously will be spoiler alerts here. So, forewarning, I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'm obviously going to review and talk about, if a few things about the show. So, don't get upset if I, spoil a match for you or anything like that. That's what I'm talking about. So, just forewarning, yeah. Um, so the first season has the first three fights in it, and the human fighters that we have are Lubu, Adam of Adam and Eve, not the adult shop, just Adam and Eve from the Bible, and then Kojuro Sasaki, and uh, I have to say that it really took me by surprise. Like it using real characters from real life. Especially when we're speaking of Adam. Um, it 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 can be a kind of a tricky road. Like it can be kind of a disappointment. Like the gods they used. We have Thor, Zeus, and Poseidon. I'm sure some people, reading the manga, watching the show, are probably disappointed in the representation of Zeus, maybe disappointed in the representation of Thor. Everybody expecting something like Marvel's Thor or traditional, Norse Thor, and he is full Japanese anime Thor, and so I can see a few people probably being disappointed in that. I haven't gone out and read or watched anybody else's opinions on the show. I did see a quick little thing when I was looking up just the characters in the show for season two, and the expectations for season two, and and I did see some people say that the manga is nowhere near similar to. There was or it was disappointing. The anime was disappointing compared to the manga, and I think that's just expected. Obviously the animes are never really the same. They a lot of times have their own directors and they have their own producers and they have their own direction, their own artistic style that they want to put into their product. They're not going to just copy another artist's story or um, art. You know, by the book. They're not going to just go directly off of the manga. They want to add their own little things to it. So I that never really ever bothers me very much. Um, I thought that then at least the first season, we'll see what happens with season two. Um, they kind of telegraph the fights pretty obviously. Once you get to the third fight, you can kind of see that like, oh, okay, this is how the first season is going to go. I hope it changes in season two and they mix it up a little bit. But in the first fight, we have Lu Bu versus um, Thor, and Lu Bu is kind of right there with Thor the whole fight. At times, he looks like he is on top, and then he ends up losing the fight. Our fight two is Zeus versus Adam, and Adam dominates the entire fight, and then ends up losing. And then we get to our third fight, Poseidon versus Sasaki Kojiro, and through the very moment they introduce Sasaki, they are shitting on this guy the entire time. They are talking about how old he is. He's gonna lose them this fight. The crowd is booing him. Like he's basically on the ropes the entire fight versus Poseidon. He gets a few shots in here and there that kind of shock Poseidon, but there's never a moment where you're like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna win this fight, and and he ends up pulling it out at the end, and gives the humans the first win. Uh, I think that was kind of like okay. I figured that I knew that by the time they got to that fight that just from the direction of the first two fights that this was how the third fight was going to go. Um, I do have to say disappointing in the Zeus versus Adam fight. They really build Adam up as this like a true champion of man. They have several moments during the fight where Adam is, they I don't want to say they put him on a pedestal, but they definitely make you like him. You know, um, I distinctly remember like one part where Zeus asks Adam why he's fighting, and he says something along the lines of no father needs a reason to protect his children, and it's kind of like a little goosebump moment, and it just was like, God, I love this guy, but he's fighting Zeus, the god of gods, the highest above all, the highest of all high in this storyline. Zeus is the pinnacle of everyone. He is the pinnacle of all gods, and so, um, at least as far as I know, in season one, I don't know if there's anybody else introduced in the manga yet. Um, and so you automatically know, kind of like, even though Adam has Zeus on the ropes the entire fight, Zeus is not going to lose this fight. It's Zeus. Like, they need him for the rest of the story. Like, and they're not going to keep Adam around as like a side character or anything like that. Like, he's going to win and then he's going to leave, and then we're going on to the next humans. We're not going to hear anything more about Adam. So, like, even though it was great, like, I wish that they could have kept Adam. They could have had him fight somebody else, but it was perfect in that realm of, like, of course he's going to fight Zeus. Like, it's the creator of mankind, and Adam's human one. So I mean, it made sense. I felt that at times the fights could be very Dragon Ball Z like, to where they're just super stretched out and super long. Like, they're long, like, You need moments where the fights are kind of have their pauses and moments to breathe, but I just felt that um, they just took too many moments. Too many times we're cutting away to other gods who are providing commentary. Too many times we're cutting away to the Valkyries. They're providing commentary. We're cutting away to Heimdall. He's providing commentary. We're cutting away to the human crowd. They're providing commentary. They're yelling things. And what something could be, they could wrap a fight up rather quickly in one episode or two episodes. They stretch it into 3 or 4. I know that they're filling in, just one season because the manga's only probably 2 seasons out. Maybe I don't 3, maybe 3, but so they obviously don't want to put too much out too quickly. But I felt that they could have had more with less. But we'll see how they do it in season 2. I felt that if you're a fan of like the Fate series, where they're using real life heroes or real life characters, in heroic manners, I think this is something that you could be interested in too. And it wasn't too bad. It was the first Netflix anime where I was actually like, oh, this is actually not too bad. But anyways, guys, just hit me back with what you thought about the show, and then any other suggestions you guys want to see me review.